Alrighty, picking up exactly where we left off. And like I said in the previous video, I no longer want to have to go from our C++ character to our blueprint character via events, only to pass information from our C++ character to our blueprint character, again, the event, just to bring it over to our blueprint widget. Instead, I want to be able to do this directly, so we're not just passing a bunch of stuff around. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new C++ class. So I'm going to create a new C++ class, and this one's going to be of the type, we search for widget, we should be able to see something along the lines of UUserWidget, which I probably should have just typed it in. So here we go. We have our UUserWidget. Go to next, and let's make it public. So that way it's going to be sorted into its own folder. I'm not worried about categorizing it. And let's give this one a name of YouTube HUD. So YT HUD, I guess. And I don't think there's any other thing. Let's go ahead and create the class. Alrighty, back in our IDE, we should now have our two classes. So we have basically our base user widget that we can kind of use to build off of. So if we look here, class settings, that looks bad over there. Can I bring it over here? No, I cannot. So our class settings, we have our parent class, which is a parent of user widget. And what we're going to want to do is, let me close this down and recompile and relaunch. If we reopen our widget, which is over here, and we head back to class defaults, or sorry, class settings, under parent class, we now have YT HUD, so YouTube HUD. What we can do is select that, and everything is still, works all the same. However, it is instead now being used through this class, or our own class. So basically, we now have a simpler way to have direct access to it. So we can have whatever functionality we want in here to be used. So by default, I'm going to go ahead and create the constructor. And let's go down and we'll just add some example, I guess a public function to call. So let's do void test function for, whatever reason. And we need to create this widget inside of our actual C++ character to really set it. So, or I guess we could technically create it still through Blueprint. However, I don't really see much of a point in doing so. And I'm going to guess Rider is having a bit of a fit right now because it's not finding any of my definitions. Anyways, let's go to begin play. Oh, that's right there above set input. And we want to create the widget. So if we search for create widget, we need to basically set a class of what widget to spawn. So in our header, we're going to create a blueprint property. So we're going to do uProperty, edit, defaults only, category again, tutorial. And then we're just going to simply do t subclass of UUserWidget. Let's call it HUD class, like so. Now in our .cpp, we can do a check. So if HUD class, we can then use that HUD class in our create widget. So the owning object, that's going to be this, and our user widget, which is going to be our HUD class. And I'm not really too worried about the widget name. By default, it's using name_none anyways, so we don't need to do anything. Then from here, we want to store this, so it returns a widget t. So I'm guessing this is just, okay, so it's templated. So what we can do is store it. So we need to for declare YouTube HUD, so class YT HUD. Let's just call this one HUD. We want to set it when we create it. So HUD equals create widget. And then again, this is templated. So YT HUD. like so. So now let's just real quick include that in our .cpp. So include yt HUD.h. Okay, so we've now created the widget as needed. Now what we need to do is grab our HUD, add to, wait, no, it's our player control. Is it our player controller? Let me see. Hopefully this will tell me so I don't have to look it up. No, I don't think that's, let me look up what add to viewport, where that's called from. Okay, it took me a couple seconds to realize that I forgot to add the U to the class. So, class U YouTube HUD. Then, same thing for the template. So now, we can call add to viewport. Then it takes in the order, so by default, that's that's 0. So we're good to go there. So now we're creating our HUD and adding it to the viewport. So as a test and begin play here, I'm going to disconnect, compile save, close down the editor, and relaunch it. Alrighty, so it's complaining about no appropriate default constructor available. I do apologize, this is my first time actually creating a user widget class, but basically we can resolve that by if we go to UUserWidget, find its constructor, copy the object initializer parameter, and add it to our own constructor. So now, hopefully, if we build it, we should be good to go. So, let's see. Alright, still got a complaint. Nope, still complaining. Why is it saying line 7? Line 7 of the .cpp. Unless we have to call super. I wonder if that might be why. Oh, and of course it's not gonna. Alright, bring those back up. Oh, wait, actually I should just be passing that directly in. So, let's try to build and see how it goes. Alright, the given owning object is not a supported type for use with create widget. So my guess then, let's see, maybe it wants a player controller. Actually, I guess a better route to figure out what all it takes in is to just look at the blueprint call to create widget. Alright, so as I thought, so if we hover over owning player, basically it takes in a player controller. So what we're going to want to do is get our player controller and pass that in. So let's go ahead and close that down and head back over to where we created, like so. And I'm wondering if we can just pass in a null pointer. Probably could, but regardless, let's do u gameplay statics get player controller of get world and index 0 to get ourselves. And for a safety point, we can do if is locally controlled and HUD class is valid, just for the sake of, let's see, is that a function? Yes, it is. So basically, we're only going to be creating the widget if we're owning the controller for ourselves. So let's go ahead and build it now, and hopefully we should be good to go. So again, this isn't really necessary for single player at all, but this is just for the sake of if we go the multiplayer route for anything in the future. Okay. So we are good to go now. Event play is not being called. Let's see if it gets created. So we hit play, and I'm currently seeing nothing. Okay, so let's try to print out a string right here. So event construct, let's do print string, hello, and hopefully we should see that. And it just occurred to me that we never actually set the HUD. So in our first person character really quick, let's go to our options. So no longer W HUD, here it is, tutorial, HUD class, YouTube, or W underscore blueprint HUD. Compile save, hit play, and there we go. So we now have our HUD appearing right inside of C++, and it printed out the message that we put right here in the event construct. We now have our HUD set up and good to go. So what can we actually do? Well, what we want to do first is, well, we want to actually be able to call these functions again. So if we look back at our C++ header here, we have, I'm being completely blunt, right here, we want to have access to our HUD. So for now, we're just going to do uProperty. We're going to do blueprint read only. Category again is going to be tutorial. So this way we can access our HUD directly. Let's close it down and recompile. And then go ahead and relaunch. And where we go ahead and create and set and add it to the viewport, we can delete all that. Grab our HUD. And let's see, we're using that here, here, and here. Delete that as well. And now we can grab our HUD. So if we search for HUD, we have get HUD. We can use that to plug into all these. So if we drag off and do update total ammo, we get nothing. However, what we can do is we can cast to the only type that we know that actually has it, which is our blueprint, our w_blueprint HUD, and call it directly like that. So that's what we're going to do for the time being, just to get these back up and working again. And then we will switch this back over later and do these C++ improvements. Let's just plug it right back. Like so. And that's pretty much it. So the only thing I can think of that might fail would be this part here, because it might fire too early. So we hit play. It does not update, but when I shoot, it updates, and when I reload, it updates. So we just need to add a slight delay here for the time being. Not a very good practice, but it will do the job for now. So let's hit play. And there we go. It is now set correctly. And when I shoot, it works. When I reload, it works. Okay, so we now have a C++ base class that our HUD is created off of. So that will allow us to basically construct whatever functions we want inside of this class, such as test function. So for example, let's say test function was our update total ammo or our update current ammo. Well, what we could do is HUD, we can call update current ammo or update total ammo and pass in the information that we need directly inside of here. So, and that'll also clean up our CPP or our header class a bit too, because we will no longer have these functions right here getting in the way. Instead, we can construct those directly inside of the HUD with the same level of efficiency. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. Let me go ahead and remove those, and we are good to go. So that will allow us to clean all of this up, hopefully by the end of the next video. So that's going to be all. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description below, where I have a Team Deathmatch series just for Patrons, as well as you get early access to pretty much all of my videos, such as this one. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to hop in my Discord that's also linked down below, and I'll try to help you out.